Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Caitanya Charitāmrta overview class. Thank you for joining in. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. I'm very grateful to everyone for being there so that we can discuss Chaitanya Charitāmrta. Without all of you, it would not have been possible to discuss this Chaitanya Charitāmrta. So we are discussing from Adi Leela and we are on 5th chapter, the glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. And last time we discussed the power of Lord Nityananda's mercy. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes in great detail how Nityananda Prabhu empowered him. He gave him direction, he gave him guidance. And that's how he came to Vrindavan. And he offers his respects, offers his gratitude to Nityananda Prabhu for bringing him to Vrindavan, for showing him Vrindavan, for allowing him to come in contact with Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. That is the power of Lord Nityananda's mercy. And he offers in great detail so many prayers. Sanatana Kripaya Painu Bhaktira Siddhant. And because Lord Nityananda brought him to Vrindavan, he could experience Vrindavan, he could understand the philosophy of devotional service. By the mercy of Rupa Goswami, he understood the Rasa Siddhanta. Shri Rupa Kripaya Painu Bhakti Rasa Pranta. So that is the mood of a devotee. He is always grateful. Gratitude is inbuilt in a devotee. A devotee can never live without showing gratefulness. Tam sukharadhyam rijubhir ananya sharanair nirbhir kritagya konu seveta duraradhyam masadhuti. So gratitude is ingrained in a devotee, and that's what we'll see again and again in Chaitanya Charitāmrta. Kaviraj Goswami is so very grateful, and we can see at end of every chapter he offers his respects to Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. Shri Rupa Raghunath Padeyaras Chaitanya Charitāmrita Pahe Krishna Das. So that is the mood of a devotee. And then we started the description of glories of Lord Govinda, as Kaviraj Goswami describes how Lord Govinda, he sits on a Yog Peeth Simhasan, Vrindavane Yog Pithe Kalp Taruvane, Ratna Mandap or Ratna Simhasane. How Lord Govinda, he sits on a golden throne bedecked with jewels and diamonds, and he performs so many wonderful pastimes. Radharani is seated on his left side, and all his other gopi associates, Lalita Devi and all the other cowherd damsels, they are engaged in serving Radha Govinda. So in this, he tells, we completed till 23rd verse, where Kaviraj Goswami describes that Krishna, as Govinda, he attracts everyone. And now he is going to speak a very, very powerful and very famous verse, that the devotees, how they should take darshan of the Lord, and what is the power of taking darshan of the Lord. So very famous verse. Smeram bhangi traya parichitam sachi vistirna drishtim vamshinyastya kishalayam ujjwala chandrakena govindakhyam haritanumita keshitirthopakanthe ma prekshisthastavayadi sakhe bandhu sange stirangah. So this is a verse from Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. Rupa Goswami is quoting this verse. Actually, this is a Vyaj Stuti. Vyaj Stuti means indirect glorification. So in this verse, Rupa Goswami is telling that, there is a person standing in threefold bending form. That is Krishna. Smeram Bhangi Traya. His transcendental body is bent in three places. Sachi Vistirna Drishtim, and standing like this, he is casting sidelong glances. And what he is doing? Vamshi Nyastya Dhara Kishalayam, and he has his flute. He's playing his flute, which seems like newly blossomed twig. The lips, he's placing his flute on his lips, which is looking like newly blossomed twigs. Vamshi Nyastya Dhara Kishalayam Ujjwala Chandrakena, and his body is very bright, like moonshine. And who is that? Govindakhyam Haritanumitaha. That personality is known as Lord Govinda. Govindakhyam Haritanumitaha Keshi Tirtho Pakanthe. Where he is standing on the bank of Keshi Ghat. So my dear friends, Rupa Goswami is advising, if you are still attached to your family members, please do not go to the bank of Keshi and take darshan of this beautiful threefold bending form of Krishna. Otherwise, what will happen? You will lose all your attachments for this material world. That is a Vyaj Stuti. That is indirect glorification. Actually, Rupa Goswami is telling, we should go and take darshan of Krishna who is standing. If you want to, take out all your family attachments from your heart, just take darshan of this most beautiful form. Tarunyamrita paravar tarang lavanyasar tate se avart bhavodgam vamshi dhvani chakravat narir manatrinapat taha dubay na hoy udgam. Kaviraj Goswami is saying, the beauty of Krishna, it is like a ocean. Tarunya Amrit Paravar. It is like an ocean. And the loveliness which Krishna is displaying, it is like a wave. Waves are coming in this ocean. Unending waves. Taranga Lavanyasar. And when Krishna plays flute, what happens? It creates a whirlpool. Vamshi Dhvani Chakravat. It creates a whirlpool. And when a whirlpool is there, it attracts everything inside. Narir Manatrinapat. And all the gopis, their hearts, their minds, they are like straw. So it doesn't take much to attract a straw in the whirlpool. So the gopis, they are attracted to this whirlpool and they cannot come out. That is the power of the flute of Krishna. So therefore, Rupa Goswami is saying, if you are still attached to your family members, please don't go and take darshan of Krishna. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that generally in this world, people are attached to their family members, their society, their friends, their loved ones. But the so-called love of this world, it is not love, it is lust. Because everyone in this world, all relationships, they are based on the foundation of selfishness. What will I get from this? There is no love. Because love means one should be ready to go through pains and tribulations and ready to make sacrifices to give pleasure to others. That is love. प्रगाढ़ प्रेमेर ए स्वभाव आचार निज दुख विघ्न आदि न करे विचार. One does not consider, will I get happiness? How much pain I'll go through? No, no consideration of that. Only consideration is, I want to serve, I want to give pleasure to this personality. That is love. In this world, there is no love. The closest which we can see and experience is a relationship between a mother and a child. Selfless love. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is telling, he's praying to Narasimhadev that where is happiness in this world? There is no happiness. It is like a mirage. You try to go near mirage, it will keep receding away. And you cannot satisfy your thirst also. Kutra shisha shruti sukha mrig trishni rupa Tvedam kalevaram ashesha rujam viroha Nirvidyate natu jano yadapiti vidwan Kamanalam madhulavai shamayandurapai. So in this very important and very, very beautiful verse, Prahlad Maharaj is telling, Kutra Shisha, where is auspiciousness in this world? Only happiness which we experience in this world is the pleasure of hearing about happiness. When we plan something, that is the time we are most happy. Shruti Sukha. But it is all like mirage. Mrig Trishni Rupa. Mrig Trishna means mirage in the desert. Ashesh Rujam Viruha. Unlimited desires are there in the hearts of everyone. They cannot be satisfied. They are like fire. The more fuel you put in the fire, the more it will burn. Kamanalam. The lust is burning in the hearts of everyone. And the happiness which they get is like a drop. Madhu lavai, the drop of happiness. The madhu, the drop. Lava means a drop. Madhu means the happiness. They get only a drop of happiness and there is all desert there. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami is quoting this verse. He says, if you want to give up all your material attachments and if you want to experience real happiness, then please take darshan of Lord Govinda. Because he is the son of Brajendra Nandan. And therefore, if anyone considers that the deity form of the Lord is a statue, he's a fool. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami is telling, the deity form of the Lord is non-different than Krishna. Pratima nahi tumi sakshat Brajendra Nandan. The deity of the Lord is non-different than Krishna. So therefore, if somebody considers that deity is a statue, he cannot be liberated. He will never be liberated. So therefore, Prabhupada writes, he quotes from Jiva Goswami. He says that it is a very, very serious offense if somebody considers the deity form of the Lord as different from the Lord. Bhagavatam 11th canto describes that the Lord can be manifested in 8 forms. Shaili, Darumai, Lauhi, Lepya, Lekhya, Chasaikati, Manomai, Manimai, Pratima, Ashtadha, Smrita. One can make the deity of the Lord in these 8 elements. From stone, from wood, from metal, as a painting, from clay, from sand, in the mind, and from jewels. Anyone who considers that these forms are different from the Lord, he is a fool. He will never be liberated. So therefore, it is very, very important for devotees to understand that when we stand in front of the deities, we are not standing in front of statue. Krishna is there directly standing just to hear our prayers. He has no other business. He's just standing there to hear our prayers. That's all. So it is our duty that when we go in front of the deities of the Lord, we should pray earnestly, sincerely. First of all, to give us taste for her holy name, for Bhagavatam, for service. And secondly, we should pray to purify our heart. The first prayer should be for taste, and second prayer should be for purification. Because when you get taste, automatically the lower desires go away. It happens automatically. Bhakti pareshanu bhavo virakti anyatra chaishatrika ekakala. So when we are praying for taste in holy name, taste in Bhagavatam, taste in Seva, naturally our other desires, anarthas will go away. So deities are very, very important. One time, Hridayanand Maharaj, he was telling that one devotee, she asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, are you present in your pictures? Yeah, so many pictures we have, Prabhupada's pictures. Prabhupada said, yes. I am present in my pictures, and therefore my disciples are committing so many offenses. They are not treating my pictures properly. So it is very, very serious that the photos of the Lord and photos of the devotees, pure devotees of the Lord, they are non-different. They have the same effect. One devotee, she asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what if at the end of the life we cannot remember Krishna and we remember you? Will it have the same effect? So Prabhupada closed his eyes, paused for some time, and then he said, that's all right. So either you remember Krishna or you remember pure devotee of Krishna, it will have the same effect. So similarly, we should treat the deities of the Lord and the devotees of the Lord equally. So therefore, Lord can appear anywhere and everywhere, and by his mercy, he appears in the deity form, Archa Vigraha. So Prabhupada writes, even if we have not that much developed consciousness, we cannot see practically that Krishna is there standing right in front of me, but theoretically we should accept it. So Prabhupada writes, theoretically, based on the instructions of the spiritual master, we should accept that deity is non-different than Krishna. Although we may have no realization, but still theoretically we should accept it. Arche Vishnu Shiladhi Gurushu Narmati Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Sa Naraki Sa. Prabhupada quotes this verse. Arche Vishnu, anybody who considers the deity of the Lord as Shiladhi, ordinary stone. Gurushu Narmati, who considers spiritual master as ordinary human being. Vaishnave Jati Buddhi, if somebody considers, oh, he's a North Indian Vaishnava, he's American Vaishnava, he's African Vaishnava, he's a South Indian Vaishnava. That is the hellish mentality. So therefore, Bhagavatam condemns such type of mentality. Anybody who identifies himself with the body and with the place of birth, Bhaum Ijjadhihi. Bhaum Ijjadhi means if somebody has this mentality of, oh, I belong to this nation, I belong to this region, that is a hellish mentality. So Prabhupada writes there are two kinds of Bhaum Ijjadhi. One who worships their land of birth and who condemns the worship of the form of the Lord. Oh, this is my motherland, and I will identify and I'll make sacrifices for my motherland. There's no problem in doing our duties, but we should not identify ourselves because we are not this body. So Prabhupada writes, one should neither worship the place of birth nor one should condemn the form of the Lord. We should perform the duties towards our country, but that is not our work. That should not be our worshipable thing. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, in one of the purports, Prabhupada writes that Kaviraj Goswami, he is predicting in these two verses, in 225 and 226. Prabhupada writes that in the future, those who manufacture the various different forms, imaginary methods of worship of the deity, they will eventually give up the worship of the Radha and Krishna. So therefore, we should worship the deities in an authentic way, in an authorized way. That is how we can get purified. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami says that therefore those who have received the mercy of Lord Nityananda, they can describe about the pastimes of Lord Nityananda. Without mercy of the Lord, nobody can describe the pastimes of the Lord. अथापि ते देव पदाम्बुजद्वय प्रसाद लेशानुगृहीत एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवन् महिम्नो न चान्य एकोपि चिरं विचिन्वन्. Unless one receives the mercy of the Lord, he can never understand, she can never understand the tattva of the Lord. So then he describes that all the Brajvasis, they are constantly absorbed in the thoughts of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, they are life and soul of the Brajvasis. And they do not know anything apart from them. And by the mercy of these Brajvasis, I could receive the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is again and again showing that whatever I have received, it is by the mercy of the Lord. And it is by the mercy of the devotees of the Lord. Without the mercy of devotees, I am nothing. Chota bada bhaktagan bando sabha sri charan sabe mora korah santosh Shri Rupa Gosaiyata Rupa Raghunath Janiyata Tai Likhi Nahi Mora Dosh. So in the Madhya Lila he tells, I am seeking blessings from each and every devotee. Chota Bada Bhaktagan Bando Sabha Sri Charan. I offer my obeisances at the feet of each and every devotee. Chota devotee, Bada devotee. अरे ये तो छोटा डिवोटी अभी अभी डिवोटी बनाया why should I ask blessings from him? No, every devotee is worshipable. Anyone who has started practice of bhakti, he is a worshipable personality. Chota bada bhaktagan bando samar sri charan. I worship the lotus feet of each and every devotee. Sabe more korah santosh. Please be satisfied with me. Because if you are not satisfied, then I will not receive mercy of Lord Chaitanya. How will I write? So therefore, he is telling here also that by the mercy of these Vaishnavas, I received the mercy of Lord Nityananda. Although somebody may say, Arey, Lord Nityananda came in the dream of Kaviraj Goswami. Where are the devotees involved here? No, but still he is acknowledging, no. Lord Nityananda showed mercy because these Vaishnavas, they gave their mercy. So we are made up of mercy of devotees. That is what Kaviraj Goswami is telling again and again. And therefore, by his mercy, Lord Nityananda, by the devotees' mercy, Lord Nityananda told me that in Vrindavan, all things are possible. And therefore, he tells, I have described in brief. I have described in detail, the brief statement of Lord Nityananda, in Vrindavan, all things are possible. I have described in detail. He described how he received everything in Vrindavan by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So he says, I have obtained all this by coming to Vrindavan by the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So Prabhupada writes, all inhabitants of Vrindavan, they are Vaishnavas. Nobody is a non-devotee. Everybody in Vrindavan is a Vaishnava. They are all auspicious. And Prabhupada clarifies. You may be thinking, okay, wow, how we can say all are Vaishnavas? Some people, they don't even chant. Prabhupada writes, even though some of them do not strictly follow the rules and regulations, but on the whole, they are devotees of Krishna. We may not understand what is their consciousness. what are their thoughts. So therefore, we should understand any person who takes birth in Vrindavan is a devotee. And then Prabhupada writes that actually the present city of Vrindavan, it was destroyed completely. When the Mughals, they started attacking in uh, in the beginning of the 15th century, in the everything was destroyed, and nothing was remaining. It was all jungle. Nobody was staying in Vrindavan. So Prabhupada writes, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sent the six Goswamis. First of all, he sent Loknath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instructions to Loknath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami, to Loknath first, that you go to Vrindavan. He was really devastated, because he was thinking, why Mahaprabhu is giving me such instruction? Why he is taking me away from Jagannath Puri? Why he wants me to go away from Jagannath Puri? I will not see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. And that's what happened actually. After Loknath Goswami left Jagannath Puri, he could never see and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. But Mahaprabhu sent Loknath Goswami to Vrindavan. And along with him, Bhugarbha Goswami also went. So together, Loknath Goswami and Bhugarbha Goswami, they excavated more than 330 places in Vrindavan. They were all lost. Vrindavan was jungle. Only few tribes were staying there. Prabhupada writes that when the six Goswamis went there, they constructed temples. They established. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instructions to six Goswamis. He gave instruction to Rup Sanatan first. Tumi kariha bhakti shastrera prachar, Mathuraya lupta tirthera kariha uddhar, Vrindavane Krishna seva Vaishnava achar, Bhakti smriti kari karaha prachar. You establish the principles of devotion. Tumi kariha bhakti shastrera prachar. You write books, excavate the holy places. Mathuraya lupta tirthera kariha uddhar. Vrindavane Krishna seva, establish deity worship and establish the principles of Vaishnava etiquettes. So Prabhupada writes, by the mercy of six Goswamis of Vrindavan, the Vrindavan was established. And Prabhupada writes, there are so many temples, thousands of temples in Vrindavan, and of all those, 90% of the temples belong to Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And of them, the 7 temples are very famous. And whenever we go for yatra, we go to these 7 temples. And actually now these 7 temples are really in a very isolated place. Very few people, they go there. Only few are known. So it is our responsibility to know about these holy places, know about these temples which are established by our Goswamis. Learn about them. What is the history of these temples? So therefore, Prabhupada writes, Kaviraj Goswami writes that I have described my own story, although it is not so good to speak about one's own self, but still I am writing. Because if I will not tell, how will the world know about the glory of Lord Nityananda? And Nityananda Prabhu, who is like a madman, he is making me write these things. That is why I'm writing. Otherwise, glories of Lord Nityananda, they are unlimited. Even Ananta Shesh cannot describe the glories of Lord Nityananda. So Kaviraj Goswami ends this chapter by offering obeisances to Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswami. Shri Rupa Raghunath Padeyar As, Caitanya Caritāmrta Kahe Krishna Das. And then the 6th chapter, which is entitled The Glories of Sri Advaitacharya. So Kaviraj Goswami has described the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, glories of Nityananda Prabhu, and now Advaitacharya. This is the explanation of 12th and 13th verse of the Adi Leela 1st chapter. So this chapter is explaining that. Who is Advaitacharya? What are his glories? What role he plays in the life of a Gaudiya Vaishnava? So he begins this chapter by offering obeisances to Advaitacharya. Vande tam Srimad Advaitacharyam Adbhutam Cheshtitam Yat Prasadad Agyopi Tatswarupam Nirupayet. Vande tam Srimad Acharya, Srimad Advaita Acharya. I offer my obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Advaita Acharya. Adbhuta Cheshtitam. All his activities are wonderful. The most wonderful activity of Advaita Acharya was he brought Krishna in this world. We have discussed. He was calling very loudly, "Oh Lord, please appear in this world." He was offering Tulsi and Ganga Jal to his Shaligram, and he was calling very loudly, Hunkar. That is the Adbhuta Karya. Yasya Prasadat Agyopi. By his mercy, even a fool can understand his glories. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, this is a very common verse. It comes in every chapter. Kaviraj Goswami begins every chapter with this verse by offering obeisances first to the person and then to the Panchatattva. Sri Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita and Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So it tells that in 5 verses, I have described the Nityananda Tattva, and now I will describe the Tattva of Advaita Acharya in 2 verses, in 12 and 13. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 5 verses described Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda Balaram, and now in 2 verses, Kaviraj Goswami is describing Advaita Tattva. Mahavishnu Jagat Karta Mayaya Srijatyadaha Tasyavatar Evayam Advaita Acharyam Ishwaraha. So he begins, who is this Advaita Acharya? So to describe Advaita Acharya, first he describes who is Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu Jagat Karta. Mahavishnu is Jagat Karta. He is the person who creates this entire universe. From his pores, all the universes come out. Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti. And in Brahman effulgence, in his Brahman effulgence, all the universes are there which are coming from the pores of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu Jagat Karta Mayaya Srijati Adaha. And through the actions of the material energy, he creates this material world. And who is Advaita Acharya? Tasya Avatar Evayam. This Advaita Acharya is his avatar. So Advaita Acharya, he is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. So that is the identity of Advaita Acharya. Who is Advaita Acharya? He is the avatar of Mahavishnu. He is non-different than Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-different from Hari. So then another very, very beautiful verse Kaviraj Goswami is composing. Advaitam Harina Advaitat Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat Bhaktavataram Isham Tam Advaita Acharyam Ashraye. Advaitam Harina Advaitam. Because he is non-different from Hari, he is called as Advaita. He is the same Supreme Lord, non-different than him, Hari. And what is his role? Acharya. He is the supreme teacher. He's the Acharya. Bhakti Sanshanat. He is the one who propagates this cult of devotion. Acharyam Bhakti Samshanat. And who is he? He has appeared in the role of a devotee. Although he is Supreme Lord, he appears in the role of a devotee. Bhaktavataram Isham Tam. Although he is the Supreme Lord, Isham Tam, but he appears in the role of a devotee. Therefore, I take shelter of Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya Ashraye. And then he describes how Advaita Acharya is non different from Mahavishnu. So, Supreme Lord Advaita Acharya actually he is non different than Mahavishnu. And his glory is beyond the conception of ordinary living beings. And then he goes on to describe how Mahavishnu creates this material universe. So Mahavishnu, as he is lying in the Karan ocean, he from his pores, the universes in the crude form as dravya, they are coming out. And then Mahavishnu glances on that and impregnates with jiva, kala, karma, and swabhava, and ultimately creates unlimited universes. And this is his pastime. So he creates, he maintains. So Mahavishnu is the creator of the universe. He is the maintainer of the universe also. Not only that, after creating the universe, he enters each and every universe. Om Sahasraksha Purusha Sahasra Shirasha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Yonim Vishwato Bhutva Atyatishtat Dashangulam. So he enters every universe as Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. And who is Advaita Acharya? Advaita Acharya is the plenary portion of that Purusha, that Mahavishnu. So he is not different than Supreme Lord. And he says that this Advaita Acharya, he helps in this creation. He creates this universe with millions of variegatedness. Millions of universes are created by Mahavishnu, full of variegatedness. And then Advaita Acharya, he is all auspicious. Jagat Mangala Advaita Mangala Gunadham Mangala Charitra Sada Mangala Yaranama. Prabhupada writes actually one another name of Advaita Acharya is Mangal. So he says Jagat Mangal Advaita. By taking shelter of Advaita Acharya, one can create auspiciousness in his life and in the entire universe. He's Jagat Mangal Advaita, Mangal Guru Dham, Mangal Gun Dham. He's the abode of all auspiciousness. All the wonderful auspicious qualities, they come from Advaita Acharya. Mangala Charitra Sada, his characteristics, his charitra, his activities, his name, they are all auspicious. So many times when we hear about Panchatattva Advaita Acharya, we don't realize that Advaita Acharya is also non-different than Supreme Lord by chanting the names of Advaita. So when we chant this Panchatattva mantra, it is a very, very powerful mantra. Every personality, he has unlimited power. We heard about Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and now Advaita Acharya. Every personality is so powerful. Jagat Mangal Advaita, Mangal Gun Dham, Mangala Charitra Sada, Mangala Yaranama. That is the power of Advaita Acharya. So Prabhupada writes that anyone who can view the all auspicious pastimes of Krishna and Lord Vishnu, they also become all auspicious. There is only one way to become auspicious, one way to live a life of auspiciousness, to connect ourselves with Krishna. That's why Prabhupada would say, only one thing is missing, that is Krishna consciousness. And that is how Bhagavatam describes. Yasya khilami vahabi sumangalai vacho vimishra gunakarma janmabhi prananti shumbhanti punanti vai jagat yastad virakta shavashobhanamati. Yasya akhil ami. Ami means sin. Habi sumangalai. Habi means destroys. All the sins get destroyed by Vacho Vimishra Gunakarma Janmabhi. The words mixed with the guna, karma, and janma of Krishna. they can create auspiciousness. Vacho vimishra guna karma janmapi. And what else they do? Prananti, they give life. Shumbhanti, they create auspiciousness. Punanti, they purify. Otherwise, yastad virakta shavashobhanamati. Otherwise, everything else is like a decoration of a dead body, of no use. So only thing which can create auspiciousness is Krishna. When we connect to Krishna through his name, form, pastimes, we become auspicious. So Prabhupada writes that Lord Vishnu is the fountainhead of all auspiciousness, and when we connect to Krishna by rendering devotional service, we also become auspicious. And then he says that people, when Advaita Acharya was there, Prabhupada writes, many people, they wanted to follow him with impersonal conceptions. Many were Mayavadis. And Advaita Acharya, he punished them. But Prabhupada writes that whether Supreme Lord punishes or rewards, because it is coming from Supreme Absolute, it is the same. Whether the Supreme Lord punishes somebody or rewards somebody, it is same. At the battlefield of Kurukshetra, even the people who were killed by Arjuna, they also attained liberation because they were dying seeing the lotus face of Krishna. They got liberated. They got mukti. All the demons killed by Krishna, they got liberated. So therefore, anything Lord does, it is absolute. Either punishment or reward. It is all absolute when it is in relationship with Krishna. So therefore, Mahavishnu, he creates the material world with millions of his parts, energies. And then he goes into a little more technical explanation that how in this material world there is Nimitta Karan and Upadan Karan, the efficient cause and the instrumental, material cause. Nimitta means instrumental cause and Upadan means material cause. For example, if a person is making a pot, clay pot, so the instrument, the wooden rod and the potter's wheel, that is an instrument. That is a nimitta. And of course, the person is also an instrument, the nimitta. And the material, the clay, that is efficient, that is the material cause. So therefore, the material manifestation has two parts, the efficient cause and the material cause. So material nature, Maya is the efficient cause, and he says the Pradhan is the material cause, provides the material, and Maya Devi facilitates. So Prabhupada writes in detail, very elaborate purport, pages after pages after pages. Prabhupada is writing a huge purport to this verse. Almost 7-8 pages of purport Prabhupada writes in this verse, 14-15. He describes in detail how Lord is the source of everything, and the material science can never understand how Lord is the source of everything. Material nature, material science, they tell that everything is coming from matter, and Prabhupada is very strongly proposing this philosophy that everything comes from Krishna. In this purport, Prabhupada, he explains the atheistic Sankhya philosophy. There was one Kapila, the son of Devahuti. He gave a theistic philosophy of Sankhya. But there was another philosopher. He was also named as Kapila. He gave atheistic philosophy of Sankhya. And he described that everything is coming from matter. But Srila Prabhupada, he describes in great detail. First of all, he describes his philosophy, this atheistic Kapila's philosophy. And then he refutes his philosophy by quoting so many acharyas. He quotes Baldev Vidyabhushan. So a devotee should be very much aware of what is his philosophy and what is other person's philosophy. That is how experienced and well-versed a devotee should be. One time Prabhupada was with his secretary and they were flying So Prabhupada told, okay, now we have lots of time. So what we'll do, you become devotee and I will play the role of a scientist. And and I will, speak and you refute. So first of all, he said, okay, you play the role of scientist and I will play the role of a devotee. And now we'll debate. So this devotee, he spoke some of the accusations and the philosophy which scientists have, and Prabhupada defeated everything. And then Prabhupada said, okay, now you become devotee and I'll become scientist. So this devotee thought, okay, I know all the arguments. And then to his surprise, Prabhupada defeated him still. And then Prabhupada said, that's how we should be so well versed, that we should be able to defeat our own philosophy with others' philosophy and again re-establish our philosophy. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would do many times. So Srila Prabhupada, he establishes this Kapila's, the theistic Sankhya philosophy, by quoting Baldev Vidyabhushan, that by telling that how material nature cannot produce on its own. It is like a woman, unless impregnated by a man, cannot give birth to a child. And he explains in detail how life comes from life. He gives the example of a car and the driver. Unless the driver is there, the car doesn't move. And then he gives the example, people, they tell, oh, the matter is giving birth to the life. Scorpions are coming out of rice. That means rice is the mother of scorpion. No, it is not the fact. The mother scorpion laid the eggs, and in due course of time, the scorpions came out. You cannot tell that rice is the mother of the scorpion. If the bed bugs are coming out of the dirty beds, you cannot tell the bed is the mother of bed bug. No. Similarly, when we see so many creations coming out from material nature is not the creator. She is just providing the ingredients. Unless Krishna impregnates the material nature, nothing can come out. And that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi parth sanatanam. Or not that. It says, I impregnate the material nature. Aham bija pradah pita. Purusha prakriti stho hi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan. Karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. So when living entities are put in material nature, according to their karma, they take birth either in the higher species of life or lower species of life. So that's how Prabhupada describes in great detail, and then he describes how people in the world, the material scientists, they tell, oh, why are you making a show of religion? All these rituals, they are not required. Prabhupada very strongly establishes that rituals are very, very necessary. This is how we show our love for Krishna. This is how we will purify our mind, by showing our love for Krishna. And the easiest way to show our love for Krishna is to chant the names of Lord. So all this Prabhupada is writing with great detail, huge elaborate purport. And then he tells that Lord Vishnu is himself this efficient cause, and Advaitacharya, Narayana in the form of Advaitacharya, he is the material cause. He is providing all the ingredients of material creation. According to atheistic Sankhya philosophy, material nature is the cause, but that is not the case. It is the Lord who infuses this material creation with living entities, and that's how the material nature creates so many variegated features. And therefore, Sri Advaitacharya is that Supreme Lord who impregnates the material nature. He is that Mahavishnu. So that's what Kaviraj Goswami describes in great detail. And his expansion is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, because Advaitacharya is Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is coming. And then he tells that actually Advaitacharya, he is not called as a limb, he is called as Anga. Mahavishnu is the Anga of the Lord. Anga means more intimate. And he quotes another verse from 10th canto, 14th chapter, which has come earlier also. Narayanastam nahi sarvadehinam atmasya adhisha akhil sakshi. Narayano angam jalbhu jalayanat, narbhu jalayanat. Narayano angam. So Mahavishnu, he is the Anga. He is the bodily part, limb of Narayan. More intimate. That's why he's called as Anga. And therefore Advaitacharya is identical to the Lord in all respects. One should never think that Advaitacharya is not identical with the Supreme Lord. No. He is non-different than the Supreme Lord. And Advaitacharya, he came to give this gift of Krishna Bhakti. Purve yaiche koila sarva vishvera srijan avtari koila ebe bhakti pravartan. Just like in the past, he created all the universes. Purve yaiche koila srishtira srijan. Now Advaitacharya has appeared in this world to spread Krishna Bhakti. That is our hope. The Supreme Lord is coming to show mercy. Please take it. Please take to Krishna Bhakti. Nityanand Prabhu is telling, Markhe prem de aparat to nahi hai. He is ready to be beaten, but he is telling, please take the names of Lord. Karo Krishna Siksha. Please take the names of Krishna. Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna Siksha. That is how Lord is so very eager to reclaim the fallen conditioned souls. Jivan istarila Krishna Bhakti ko ridan, Gita Bhagavate koila Bhaktira Vyakhyan. Jivan istari koila. Just to show mercy to all the living entities, he has appeared to give the dan of bhakti, to give a gift of charity of bhakti. And that's what he is giving in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why Advaitacharya is explaining these scriptures. He explained Bhagavad Gita, he explained Bhagavatam, because when Advaitacharya was there in Shantipur, actually during that period in Navadvip area, there were very few devotees. Most were karmakandis, either atheists or Mayavadis. Very few devotees were there. So Advaitacharya was really eager to spread this Krishna Bhakti. And Prabhupada writes, that's why he is Acharya. Acharya means one who has immense compassion for all the living entities. That is Acharya. Otherwise, one is not supposed to be called as Acharya. Acharya means his purpose, his life is to make people Krishna conscious. So that is a special function, Prabhupada writes. And the real qualification of such an Acharya is, he never presents himself as God. If some person says, I am God, he is not God. A real Acharya never presents himself as God. He presents himself always as servant of the God. Bhakti Upadesh Vinu Taranahi Karya Ataiva Namahila Advaita Acharya. His only role was to spread bhakti. No other occupation. Bhakti Upadesh Vinu Taranahi Karya. No other occupation than giving Bhakti Upadesh. Therefore, he was called as Advaita Acharya. Vaishnavera Guru te ho Jagatera Arya. Dui Nam Milan Hoila Advaita Acharya. So Vaishnava Guru. So Advaita Acharya is the spiritual master of all the Vaishnavas. He is the primary spiritual master. And that's why he's Jagatera Arya. And he is called as Advaita Acharya. So Prabhupada writes a very important purport here. He says, Sri Advaitacharya is the prime spiritual master of all the Vaishnavas, and he is worshipable by all the Vaishnavas. So therefore, Vaishnavas must follow in the footsteps of Advaitacharya and render devotional service. Another name of Advaitacharya, he is Kamalaksha. Kamalaksha means the lotus-eyed one, because he is the incarnation of Narayan, Mahavishnu, who is a lotus-eyed Lord. So therefore, he is also called as Kamalaksha. And the Supreme Lord and all his associates, they have the same features. So they are all dressed in, just like it comes in the third canto when Brahmaji, he tells the description of spiritual world. There he describes that everyone in the spiritual world looks like Vishnu. Everybody has 4 hands, dressed in beautiful garment, yellow dhoti and ornaments. Sarve Vaikuntha Murtayah ye nimitta animitta nimittena dharmena radhayan harin. Everybody is having same features as Vishnu. Therefore, Advaitacharya, who is Supreme Lord himself, he is the principal limb of Supreme Lord. And therefore, all his activities, all his attributes, they are all wonderful. And he's the one who worshipped Krishna by offering Tulsi, by offering Ganga Jal, and he called Krishna in this world, and that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Tulsi dalmatrena jalasya chulukena va vikrinite samatmanam bhaktebhyo bhaktavatsalaha. He offered this prayer from Gautamiya Tantra, and that's why Lord appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. यार द्वारा कैला प्रभु कीर्तन प्रचार, यार द्वारा कैला प्रभु जगत निस्तार. By through him, यार द्वारा प्रभु कैला कीर्तन प्रचार. Through him, Lord propagated this Sankirtan movement, and यार द्वारा कैला प्रभु जगत निस्तार. And through him, Lord delivered the entire world. So that is the glory of Advaitacharya. So we'll stop here. We'll continue next time, next Tuesday. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Caitanya Caritāmrta ki jai. Yeah, anybody has any questions? Okay, yes. Yes, Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, please guide me that on what we should focus more, Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavad?
First read Chaitanya Caritāmrta,
Okay.
and then Chaitanya Bhagavad. Because Chaitanya Caritāmrita is the primary literature which Srila Prabhupada emphasizes, and Chaitanya Caritāmrita described by Kaviraj Goswami is so very full of philosophy and so many pastimes, and by which we can understand the tattva of Mahaprabhu very nicely. That's why Chaitanya Charitamrita is one of the very, very prominent literatures. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he emphasized in reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur described, he had read more than 100 times Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Yes.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then of course Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Mangal, so many other books are there. But Chaitanya Charitamrita is our primary literature.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.